What is incremental model in software engineering? Hello everyone, this is the next part of our series on different software development models. In this video, we will understand the incremental model. In this model, we basically divide a product or software into small features, or you can say modules. And we release these modules to the customer one by one. These small features or modules are called increments. Basically, in the first release, we deliver one module to the customer that will be called the first increment. The customer will use it and give the feedback to us. Then we'll finalize that module based on the feedback and give it back to the customer for feedback as second increment. Once the module is finalized, we'll move to the second module and again take it to the customer as a third increment. The customer gives feedback on that too and we will finalize it. Basically, in incremental model, we build our software incrementally based on customer feedback. Also, before releasing each increment to the customer, we will perform designing, development, testing, implementation, and then release the module to the customer as an increment. These steps happen for each increment. Let's look at an example of an incremental model. Suppose we are building an e-commerce website for a customer to sell fashion-related products. What we'll do is we'll divide this software or e-commerce site into multiple modules. The first module could be the basic product catalog where users or site visitors can see the products available in the store along with descriptions, prices, etc. This module won't have a shopping cart or anything else, just the product backlog. So we'll take this product catalog as the first increment and show it to the customers. We'll say, here's how your product listing looks like on the site. The customer might suggest some changes. We'll make those changes and take it back again. Once the customer finalizes it and says that the product catalog is okay, we'll give it to them and say that you can start using it. Now the customer will open it up for users as well. Maybe link it with a domain name so that while the rest of the site is being developed, at least the users can start visiting and it begins appearing in the Google search results. That way, some initial user transaction can start. Meanwhile, we'll work on the second increment, which could be the product searching and filtering. So now the site has a search bar, filters like price, color, brand, etc. This is the second increment. A new feature built on top of the first. Again, we'll show this to the customer, take their feedback and finalize it. Then we move on to the third increment, the shopping cart feature. The fourth increment could be user registration logging. The fifth increment might be the payment gateway integration. The sixth increment could be order history and an admin panel and so on. So what's happening over here? We are releasing the software module by module, or we can say that increment by increment. And every time the application is in usable form. Once you have added things like login and payment gateway, the application becomes mostly functional. After 5 or 6 increments, most things are ready. Then in the 7th or 8th increment, we might add things like analytics, and by that time the product is already live. Customers are using it and it's getting market exposure as well. So you don't need to wait for a full year or two to launch the complete product in one go. If you have delays like this for launching products, then market dynamics may change. That's why we release the software increment by increment in this development model. Now let's talk about the advantages of using the incremental model. The first advantage is faster delivery of value. If we build the entire software first and then give it to the customer, it takes a lot of time. But with incremental development, we start delivering usable features or usable parts of the software to the customer in each increment. That way the customers can start using it early and we keep building on more features on top of it. So basically the value we are delivering to the customer is getting delivered faster. Instead of giving 100% of value at once, we are giving just the 10 or 15% and so on. At least the customer is happy and using it, right? The second advantage is early feedback. Since we are releasing increments regularly, we get feedback early. It helps us know if we are on the right track or not. Otherwise, if we don't use the incremental approach, we might only realize in the end that whatever we did was somewhere wrong. So you can say that we can get the feedback early on each and every module. The third advantage is risk reduction. Because we are releasing it in increments to the customer, it is already part of the product. Many functionalities get clarified earlier. Misunderstandings about the features are resolved much earlier. But if you build the product at once and then you take it to the customer, they might say that I don't need this feature. This is not how I expected the payment gateway to work, or you forgot to add some discount feature. If feedback comes that late, it can mess up the product cost and schedule. But with incremental development, we reduce risk by continuously getting the feedback. The sooner you get the feedback, the lower is the risk. The later we get the feedback, the higher is the risk. Now, the fourth advantage is that it is better aligned with changing requirements. You can easily handle and adapt to the changes in the requirements because you're continuously getting the feedback in every increment. Sometimes the customer themselves don't know about what all features they want. But as soon as they see something working, they realize that this is what they want, or this is what they don't want, or this might look good, etc. So if you're using the incremental model, you're open to changing requirements and can adapt really quickly. Now let's say you give one increment, then another, and you get the feedback, you make some changes and deliver it again. That's everything so very fast. But if you deliver the whole product to the customer at the end says, no, the shopping cart should work differently, then it's too late. The whole product is already built, the tests are written, integration has been done, and now you have to redo everything. That's a waste of a lot of effort. So incremental development is a better choice when requirements can change quickly. The last advantage is continuous integration and testing. So once you are dividing the product into parts and then releasing them separately, you can test and validate each part independently. You can also follow continuous integration practices easily and ensure that each module is tested before moving on to the next. Now let's talk about some of the disadvantages of incremental model. There are certain types of softwares where you can't release the application in increment or modules. You need to show the complete software at once. For example, suppose you are manufacturing a mobile phone. You can't go to the customer with just one screen and ask for feedback. You need to take the working mobile, the full product, to get proper feedback. Or let's take another example. You're building a banking software. Now, a bank will open that software to its retail customers. You can't say that in the first release, customers can view their balance. In the second release, they'll be able to pay. In the third release, they'll be able to transfer money, etc., etc. So that doesn't make any sense. Obviously not. That will create a poor user experience and a lot of confusion among the users. So there are some systems where you need to show the full architecture and all the parts working together to the customer and get the feedback on the entire working system. Also, sometimes there are strict deadlines to be followed. For example, if you are building a software for a bank where there are financial policies that must be implemented within 30 days, you don't have time for customer feedback after every increment. In such cases, incremental development won't work. You need to go for a waterfall style model where the entire product is planned and delivered at once. Another issue can be integration problems. Sometimes when you divide the product into increment, it becomes very difficult to integrate all the parts later. If your product has complex dependencies between each module and you haven't planned the integration carefully, it can create a lot of technical issues later during merging. So the incremental model doesn't work well here as well. So let me talk about the projects where the incremental model doesn't work. Projects that require a complete system demo from the beginning. Secondly, projects with non-negotiable deadlines like legal compliances, etc. Third, projects with complex integration dependencies. That's all for now. So if you found the video useful, then please do not forget to like the video and subscribe to my channel.